Look, it's real simple. You make the big monkey and the big lizard fight each other. I'm sold. Let's do it. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you'll be the first to know. These movies are hard to sort of review because the film itself is never going to be technically good. Like, there's never going to be a story that you kind of lock onto. It's not like the point you come here is to watch Godzilla and King Kong beat the living shit out of each other. That's what you're here for. And so it gets a little hard when you get into the minutia of what the film is. So let me talk about some of the things that work and don't work. I don't think there's a story here, but I also don't think that there ever really are many stories in some of these type of films. These movies are essentially disaster movies. And I am not a big fan of disaster films, like The End of the World or like Tomorrow, The Day After Tomorrow, all that stuff, or Twister. Those things don't interest me. But this is sort of a hybrid of that because it's a end of the world type of thing, but also with like two big kaiju style monsters, and that stuff I do love. Like I like going to see Pacific Rim. I enjoy these Godzilla films, so it's sort of a merging of that. And depending on how you feel about films like that will depend on how you actually take in this movie. If those things aren't for you, you can probably see your way out. This isn't going to be for you. This isn't going to change your mind and be like, oh, now I'm into this type of stuff. But if you're in, you're gonna have a damn blast with this. This is the fourth film in the MonsterVerse, coming after Godzilla 2014, Skull Island, King Kong Skull Island, and then Godzilla King of Monsters. And just to give you a heads up, for me, out of those three, Skull Island was my favorite. I think it's probably the best film out of them too, but it's also my favorite. I think where I always have a hard time with these movies and these pairings is the human characters usually are lacking. It's easier to get emotion and reaction off of Kong because there is some sort of humanoid style to him overall. So for this one, the story is pretty whatever. I mean, it's Godzilla, so you know what you're getting. The human characters leave a lot to be desired. I think the best way to say this is this feels like a Kong Skull Island movie that Godzilla, where the heartbeat of this movie, the way in was connecting through Kong. Kong is your heartbeat. He's the character that you're supposed to care about, and Godzilla acts more as the missile, the antagonist that is like a heat-seeking missile. I'm going to come at you no matter what, and that's sort of the way that he's built into this. What's weird here is that the humans, I feel like, are a big waste. Specifically, I don't mind the Rebecca Hall and storyline. We sort of get through what is eventually Middle Earth, or some version of Middle or Hollow Earth, for Kong's true world and where he truly belongs, where he truly feels like home, which is fine. That's a great story to have. What really just annoyed me was the whole Brian Tyree Harris bit of this film, and Millie Bobby Brown and Chandler feel like they are very different characters than they were in their previous film. And so the whole storyline with Brian Tyree and Millie and their friend going off to find whatever doesn't serve me any good. Like, it just feels more annoying. And other than the fact that it does eventually lead to what is the overall big bad of this, I'm not going to spoil everything, but you kind of know where this is going. Other than getting to that, it really doesn't do anything for me, and I feel like you can find other ways to get there without doing that, and I don't, other than to attach and say we have some type of connection to the rest of the films in the series. I really don't know why Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown are here, since their characters are so drastically different than what they were or where they should be based on the ending of Godzilla King of Monsters. All that said, who gives a shit about the humans? Like, that's not why you're here. So the main thing is, do these characters look good when they beat the crap out of each other? And man, there are some viscerally just amazing and entertaining shots in this movie. I won't ruin the battle so much, but there's two main battles that happen between our two title characters. There's one where Kong is sort of handicapped, if you will, and Godzilla comes in and also has the surrounding area sort of to his benefit. And it's a pretty entertaining and amazing battle. And then there's a second one that occurs towards the end of the film that is just gorgeous. In Hong Kong, the neon lights just look gorgeous. It's a beautifully shot film. You've seen the two of them just beat the crap out of each other, and they give each other the business. It's unfortunate that Kong never gets Godzilla in sort of his home turf in like a jungle or anything, because he's always sort of fighting where Godzilla has the upper hand. But it's still fun. You get claw marks. You get to see it feels painful. It just looks a lot better than the cheesy tube Rubberman suit stuff that we got in the back in the day. This feels like what this should be. You should feel the impact. You should watch this on as big as a screen you can possibly can. If you feel comfortable enough to go to the theaters, I think you should watch that there too, because it'll treat you. The sound sounds amazing. This is a movie that is one of those summer things that is a harder film to probably enjoy and sit, especially if you're not into it. But if you're into it, it might be a little lowered if you're watching this at home versus if you watch this at a theater. You get the full point, the full ambiance of it all. But I think this was a good time. I think what we came to see was Godzilla versus Kong, and then what we all sort of knew what was going to happen is that eventually the two of them are going to have to sort of pair up because they're starting to get their asses handed to them by something else. And that happens here, and it's glorious. And we really don't know when it's all said and done if we're going to come back to this world. We don't know what characters are left on the board, and there isn't really a resolution to who wins or loses. It's sort of just like, all right, see you around type of thing. And so I don't know if this is a world we go back to, and I don't know what we would do next if we do, but I'm interested. You give me these every 4 years and kind of just like go back and throw in Pacific Rim. Let's get some of those mech suits in here versus Kong and Godzilla. Why not? Well, this is some weird, wild shit, so let's play with it. Let's get in that sandbox and think of how it was when you were a kid, when you were putting all your figures and stuff together. Let's do that now in film with big budgets, because this is a fun and entertaining thing that you're going to turn your brain off. Don't think too hard about this. Like I said, this isn't a movie you can overly critique, because you're here for one reason, and this film delivers that in droves. So I was a fan of Godzilla vs. Kong. On my scale of once is enough, play it again, Sam, or give me a time stone so I never have to think about this film again. This would go on the play it again, Sam. This is fun. This is probably my second favorite of the Monsterverse, with Skull Island being the first, this being the second, and then two of Godzilla's you can kind of flip either way for me. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, and we'll play it again, if no other reason to just fast forward to the two fight sequences and just to see that and how much fun is being had on screen, and it's a good time. It's a good time. What did you guys think about Godzilla vs. Kong? Go ahead and leave your comments in the comments below. If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI or hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast with the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. We are currently doing Buddies for Life, sort of a retrospect of buddy films throughout the years through the eyes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier with our guest host, Jamie Jerry. We also have a sister podcast called You Can't Do That Anymore, where we talk about classic films such as Back to the Future, Gone with the Wind, West Side Story, American Beauty, and look at those films through the eyes of 2021, back when they came out, and see if some of the things they got away with doing then, they can still do today. But like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.